I'm asking you, as part of the minority report, to vote no on Senate Bill 233, but I want to talk a little bit about where I come from on this, which I think is where a lot of you in here may sit too, struggling with two thoughts at the same time. One being that you believe in public education, and you know that it's the great equalizer, and you know it's how our kids have a chance in this thing called life. It's the one thing that can make up for not winning the lottery of life, not having parents that went to school, not having parents perhaps that value education. Whatever your lot in life is, an education can change everything. Everything. And you know that, and you want to support public school with all your might, but you also hold a thought in your head that what we're doing seems to be failing some of our students. And so you're desperate to do something. I sit there too. And I get desperate to do things, and I have supported what I thought were good school reform efforts over my time here, some that angered some back home, some that angered members of my party, and I was willing to take that heat because I want to do something, and the status quo is not working. But sometimes we have to restrain with our overwhelming desire to do good. That's why we're here. We want to do things. We want to do something. We want to try. This is not a good step toward trying. This rips away from public schools without helping those kids that we know are struggling. So this is not the way forward. We have things we can do, and I know so many people in here want to do it. I've talked to many of you on both sides of the aisle. What we're really struggling to do in this state, and what we know will make all the difference in the world, is just get our kids to read. So what if we took the money, whatever the magic number is that this bill's going to cost, which we still don't know, what if we took that money and for these bottom quartile of schools that we're worried about, let's invade those schools with reading tutors. How about that? The kids don't have to find transportation to get to another place. Mom and dad don't have to worry that they're going to lose their ability to play on the sports team or whatever after-school activities that they had access to for free at the public school that they'll now probably have to pay for at a private school. And we're getting them the intervention. We can do that. There's nothing that stops us from doing it. Those are the kind of reforms. There's a couple of nuts and bolts on this bill that I just want to hit on. Some have talked about it already. $6,500, y'all, that is not going to cut it. I've heard from some in here that, oh, yeah, I've heard anecdotally there's one or two schools that the tuition is $5,500 or whatever. Far, few, and in between. And where kids are really struggling, mom and dad, I am certain, are working and getting a kid across town to a school without a school bus when mom and dad don't have great control over their schedule and don't have money to hire babysitters and nannies. It just ain't gonna happen. $6,500 is not gonna cut it. And I know we amended the bill in rules to make sure that $6,500 can go down if we cut QBE. Well, guess what that brings to these kids that are already struggling? Uncertainty. Even if that $6,500 was enough to get them in the door, the next year we cut it to $5,000? Where are they gonna make up the difference? We're not going to help anyone. I also have this very real fear that there will be schools that pop up at this price point. And I know we've got this little thing in there that says they have to be in business for a year, and even if they're not in business for a year, they file this report. Well, that says if you're good at paperwork, you can get in and get this government contract to get students at $6,500 a pop. That is not responsible when our number one obligation is to take care of kids. That is reckless malpractice, ladies and gentlemen. I know that you worry about our babies and you don't want to subject them to fly-by-night schools. Why not take an overhaul of QBE? Why not these reading tutor interventions? And here's a very simple, small question, even for this bill. If it's really just about helping kids getting out of struggling schools and not just about filling up the private schools with more money, why don't we allow these babies to transfer to other public schools? Why can't we take that $6,500 and shift it over to another school that's doing better? Ask yourselves that, because I know a lot of y'all are struggling with this. This is not our answer. Education is screaming, begging for us to do something big. Didn't y'all come here to do something big? I know I did. If we're not going to do something big on education, what are we doing? Think about what we've talked about, ladies and gentlemen. We've been spinning our wheels on so many things this session. What is the big idea? We've done big things here before. We created hope, and we became a model for the Southeast and the country. We took big, bold steps on transportation infrastructure. We took even bolder steps on addressing mental health. We know how to do big things, and that's what we should be doing. Not leaf blowers and micromanaging county commissioners. Let's do big things for our kids, not this piecemeal, nothing that maybe makes a couple people feel good, but really doesn't help anybody do anything and should not satisfy the thirst that I know all of you have to help our kids. Please vote no on Senate Bill 233. Thank you, and I yield the well.